What's going on, Blurs, nerds, and everybody in between? It's your boy Wyatt, and we are here with another episode of With the BS. Today, what we're going to go ahead and talk about is Spider-Man. What our favorite movies were, our favorite iteration of Spider-Man, even the best villains that came from Spider-Man. So, before we get started on any of that stuff, I need you to be like Spider-Man and whip the follow button, and we're going to love you 3000. And so, before we do anything else, I want to introduce everybody here. Natalie here. How you doing today?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, man, it is a Sunday. I'm hot because we're in Alabama, but we're doing good. So can't complain too much. And then the invisible hand himself, Nick. How you doing today?
What's up, man? I'm sorry I'm invisible. I will be showing my face soon, but I'm good.
Oh no, you okay, man. We're glad to have you here. So, just kind of talking about, Spider-Man. I mean, he's been around for a long time. What I know that there's been iterations in television, of course, comics, movies. So I want to start off with movies. What is your favorite Spider-Man movie?
And this is me, right? I'm just making sure.
Yeah, you rock
okay.
out.
Man, it'll probably have to be between the I don't know which I can't remember the number, but the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man when like Venom came into play and the black suit came into play.
Spider-Man 3?
Really dope. Yeah. I like Spider-Man 3. And I really like the one with Miles Morales. I think that was really well done, man. Honestly, I say that's probably my favorite one. And I'll say that simply for the fact that not only was it just great animation and just a good plot, and of course, not the people of color, but I was just really caught off guard by how good it was, honestly. I didn't expect it to just be that good. So it was just a breath of fresh air to watch it and to really be engaged in it the whole time. And I think they're supposed to make another one, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So I'm excited for that. That's probably my favorite one.
Hold on, Nick. So you telling me that your favorite Spider-Man is the one where Spider-Man does his little gigolo dance? That's your favorite
one. You didn't like the gigolo dance? You didn't like emo gigolo Tobey Maguire?
No, I didn't like the whole Saturday Night Fever thing. No, I didn't like that at all, man.
He was feeling himself, man. Feeling himself.
Man, he popped that second.
I'm sweating, man.
Man, he popped that second button. He was like, "Yeah, can't tell me nothing now." So,
yes. He was activated. He was the Threads, and the Threads was him, bro.
Ah, man, I think you on your own on that one, bro. Not too many people are like Spider-Man 3 is my favorite movie out of all the movies that they have. So, Natalie, what's going on with you? Leia, what's your favorite Spider-Man movie?
So I agree with Nick that Into the Spider-Verse is a great movie. But I've never been a huge Spider-Man fan. So like I watched the movies, but I think my favorite one will have to be when the first one that Tom Holland did, his solo one. That one was great. Like he, to me, is probably about the best Spider-Man, like how I envision Spider-Man to be as like a goofy kid with these new powers.
Okay, I can rock with that a little bit. Like my favorite Spider-Man movie, I think has to be Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, because like I felt like he had so much that he was really dealing with, and like you could tell that he was trying to juggle so much and try to do too much, and you know what I mean. They had a lot of people, that was the first time where you got Doc Ock and he was doing his thing, and that fight when they were fighting up the building, and that kind of stuff. That was really, really good for me. But actually now, because I keep forgetting about Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse would probably be, it's kind of neck and neck with those two, because I love the fact that Miles came into his own in that situation. He was excited, you know what I mean, but he was scared and apprehensive about all the stuff that he was going through. So it made sense to have it that way. And then, I mean, with his uncle, you know what I mean, being directly, you know, correlating into what was going on from that point, that was really, really cool too. So, you know, it made, you know, definitely played at the heartstrings. And then, you know, seeing that universe of Spider-Man die too, because Kingpin just beat his face in that one good time. And so that was crazy myself too. So it had the right amount of, you know, comedy with action and all the rest of it. But the next thing I want to ask you about, because the movies were one thing, but the portrayal of Peter Parker, the portrayal of Spider-Man, I wanted to find out who you think did the best job of that.
Man, we're gonna have to agree. And I feel so bad because I don't know all their names that well, but the last who did Natalie say she liked again with last name Holland?
Yeah, Tom Holland.
Yeah, I think he really did a really good job. I really do think he's the best depiction of it because of course, like she said, Spider-Man is he's really goofy, you know what I'm saying? And Tobey Maguire, even though that was my favorite Spider-Man for the longest, and that probably was just off pure nostalgia, honestly, but he was very kind of dry at times, if people really want to admit it or not. Like, he was, even with his catchphrases, you know what I'm saying? It just sounded very dry and unauthentic. And like, he brought a serious tone to Spider-Man, in my opinion. Holland didn't, you know, as they start progressing more towards, you know, revamping it with the last two people that play Spider-Man. As you can see, they were a lot younger, a lot upbeat, you know what I'm saying, a lot funnier. But of course, I think Holland did the best.
Natalie, how do you feel?
Yeah, it's about right. The second guy that played Spider-Man, I think those was the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I don't even know his name, but he just did not look like Spider-Man to me. How you would have a picture of Spider-Man. So I didn't like those movies at all. Now, Tobey Maguire, the first one, you know, was passable. I didn't watch the second one, and I barely watched the third one with him. But Tom, he has something different about him. Like, he captures your interest, and you feel like you're actually in the movie. Like, he pulls that character off very well.
I swear I'm not trying to be combative tonight. I promise. I really liked Andrew Garfield, man. Like, that was I liked him because he was like, I remember in the first one where he was like in the guy's car and like the guy was trying to talk to him and he's like, oh man, you think really going, you know, doing this, like when they were in the car and he was in the back seat and he kept web zipping the doors shut, and then the guy just tried to go out the window and he's like, oh yeah, that's the best idea. And then when the guy pulled the knife out and Andrew Garfield was like, oh no, not small knives, that's my weakness. He's like, really? He's like, no. So then he was like, you know, hitting him with web shots and things like that. I think when I always picture Spider-Man, I always picture him as like a smart ass kid that, like, you know, who thinks he knows better than everybody else, you know, and like he's making these jokes because he thinks they're funny to him. He don't care really that you guys think it's funny or whatnot. And that's the kind of energy I got from Andrew Garfield. Now, I didn't like it after the second one was like, you know, when he was seeing the ghost and he was crying a whole lot and stuff like that. That's when I was just like, all right, you know what I mean? You do it a whole lot. But, you know, there were even funny parts in the second one, you know what I mean? Where Jamie Foxx was beating him up, you know, and they was playing the Itsy Bitsy Spider song while he was hitting him with lightning bolts. And Andrew Garfield was like, come on, bro. Like, really? That's what we gonna do? You gonna play the Itsy Bitsy Spider song and beat my ass at the same time? So it was funny to me from those points, but like I can see how people didn't like it, or, you know, you know, were, because he did look old as hell. Like for a high school kid, he definitely looked like he was supposed to be, you know, somebody getting somebody's doctorate or you know, secondary graduate degree. But it was funny though.
Right.
So who do you think out of all of the villains that Spider-Man had, who do you think was his best villain? And it doesn't have to necessarily be just movies either.
I have to go by the movies because I didn't see or I didn't really watch the cartoon or the comic. So like Sandman was a. Are you hurt by that?
I was, man. Like the Spider-Man was not my part that I used to just watch all the time. Spider-Man, that electric guitar, he went in on it. But continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I probably just changed the channel at that point. But like Sandman was a great character, and I like Venom. And I guess maybe Venom was one of my favorites. Because of the like how he is being a symbiote, like he can take over that person, but yet he's still his own individual, you know, villain. So, and then when they made the movie about Venom, you know, that just like sealed it up for me. So those are probably like my two favorite with Spider-Man.
Yeah. So my favorite villain probably would. So he's really a villain for New York. Kingpin is really good, like and things like that. Because he kind of brought so many other people involved in it. Because like then he had Alistair Smite, who made all like the Spider Slayers and things like that. Like, but I don't think you can really talk about Spider-Man without talking about like the Green Goblin, because the Green Goblin and you know, how they had like a close relationship, and you know how that drama brought a whole lot of like strife, not only to Spider-Man's life but also to Peter Parker's, because you know Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn, those guys, like they just kept doing stuff, or you know, and I feel bad for Harry, but Norman Osborn was just crazy after a while, and definitely just wanted he was just about let me kill Spider-Man real quick. I got this $1 billion company. Don't worry about that. Let me go kill this superhero real quick. Nick, what about you, man?
I think, and it kind of morphed because I think they did kind of work together at a certain time. But I think some of my favorite moments in Spider-Man was when he went up against the Punisher. I always had a lot of problems with dude. Remember, they really made him a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? He always was kind of a bad guy, but they really made him kind of the villain. They didn't show, you know, his backstory. You know, they didn't show what happened or how he became the Punisher. He would just show up randomly. I remember, you know what I'm saying, and just cause havoc. And Spider-Man would always try to stop him. And it seemed like he just had, you know, the most guns at all time, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, I used to wonder when I was younger, like, who is this dude? Like, it didn't, you know, no powers, just always just showing up super badass, you know, with the skull on the boots with 2 ARs, you know what I'm saying? Fighting super, I used to be like, who is this dude? You know what I'm saying?
Why is he fighting like that?
Why is he like, why are you going so hard, man, for the regular people, man? What happened? But it was like, even, I used to love like the appearances, like I said, with him and like even Daredevil. Remember, Spider-Man had problems with Daredevil for a minute. He would just pop in and do stuff and we would try to stop him. But I really enjoyed Punisher because it was like he never really beat him. They just kind of ended it on a mutual agreement, you know what I'm saying? And left it at that, but I think that's my favorite dude.
Yeah. So like one thing about Spider-Man that I always really appreciated was like he had real life problems. So you know what I'm saying? Like he had to worry about rent. He had to worry about like going to school.
He did, man.
Like he kept getting fired from jobs because he was late. Like that was the thing that I really loved about him, because like he had to borrow money from Aunt Meg a couple times because he wasn't, you know what I mean? He over here saving the city, but it's costing him his life, and things like that. So that's the one thing I always really appreciated about Spider-Man, because he had real life problems, unlike certain superheroes who are billionaires and things like that. That you know what I mean? They had trust funds since before they were born. So don't roll your eyes. You know who I'm talking about. So but yeah, so when it came to like Spider-Man and things like that, like what kind of really sticks out when you think about Spider-Man to you guys?
For me, I guess because he was young when he got his powers, and that was the thing, and he was always trying to do good with them. You know what I mean? Like being a kid because I think about that, would I necessarily be trying to do the right thing and save people? Like if I had those type of superpowers, like being that young. But that's one thing that made Spider-Man kind of relatable. Like you said, he had real life problems, and he had superpowers and was still going to school with them. Like I doubt if I would have did that. You know what I mean? But that's one thing I liked about him.
Nick, what about you?
I think for me, the thing that sticks out has always just been like his style of doing things. You know what I'm saying? Like his poses, the way he fight. You know what I'm saying? The way he interact with things, the spider-like thing. Like even in games, they try to really capture that. You know what I'm saying? They ever have Spider-Man in there or something like that, or even in a movie, they try to capture, like, he has a specific style. You know what I'm saying? That he kind of uses, and he use his, abilities, of course, his spider sense to, and his abilities to do crazy moves. But, you don't see a lot of people in comics, you know what I'm saying, do the things he do the stunts he do. Even, you know what I'm saying, in movies, they show you, doing fancy things with the web slinging, you know what I'm saying, jumping through poles, slender buildings, you know what I'm saying. He's very tricky. Even when he fight people, he'll backward flip kick you, you know what I'm saying, and you know what I'm saying, very slippery style. Like you can't really, it's kind of crazy when you trying to fight a dude and he kick you, and next thing you know he on the wall, and then he kick you again, next thing you know he on
the ceiling.
Then he on the ceiling, then he done webbed you up to the ceiling. He's like, okay, bro, you got it, bro. Like, you won, okay? You're doing too much, man. I wasn't expecting that. You know what I'm saying? So I really like his fighting style for sure. Like it's great. Just the way he do things, makes Spider-Man really cool.
The one thing I really like too is like in all the movies, like at one point in time, like Spider-Man gets hemmed up, and then the city of New York comes and has his back. They'd be like, man, don't mess with him. He's one of us.
Yo, for real though, they always got his back. They always got his back. It'd be like the black people, for real. The black people always be riding with Spider-Man. Always.
Man, I think because in the Amazing Spider-Man,
he's Spidey.
Mm-hmm. In Amazing Spider-Man, like I think there was one time they did it, and I remember in the Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, they did it like in 2 of the movies. So like it was crazy. Were you saying Nick?
No, I'm saying anything.
Okay, yeah. So like I remember like he was saving a busload of kids one time, and then the other time, like the best time was when he saved the whole train by whole that whole iconic thing. Yeah. And then they were like, and he had passed out and he was getting ready to fall. They caught him. And then after that, Doc Ock was like, all right, give him here. And they was like, man, you want him, you're gonna have to go through us. And that it didn't work the same way it worked in the first one. The first one they stopped Green Goblin. The second one, Doc Ock was like, man, if y'all get your asses out of here.
You gotta watch out, bro.
So have any of you guys played like the games, the Spider-Man games?
Oh, most definitely. The Spider-Man
games, I don't think there's there may have been one or two like back in the day, but I don't think any of the more recent Spider-Man ones like miss. Like they always kind of get him. They get him well, and it's like, and the thing I love about the Spider-Man games, they're like almost like a GTA feel, where it's just like open world. You can go do whatever you want to. There's always crime in New York, so you can be able to save this person or not save them. Those kinds of things.
I remember on one of the games, on the first one, like he used to web sling on the air, bro. Like he just used to like nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when people as gamers were saying that, like, you know, we love Spider-Man, but can you please make it a little realistic? Like, you can't just web sling on air.
Absolutely.
Clouds, you know what I'm saying? And that's when they incorporated, you remember, like cartridges, and they tried to do that. I think they took that away, but then they did the GTA format. Then they did you have to, you know, web sling on the surface and stuff like that. And like you said, now you just got a game. Pretty much you just can't miss. You know what I'm saying? You just got to add new moves, maybe new buildings, things like that. But you can always keep the same format, to be honest. Always.
So how did you guys feel when they brought Miles Morales as like a new Spider-Man? Natalie, how did you feel about Miles?
I liked him. I mean, the way he came into his own and just his character as a whole, I think it was time for him to come out. And I think I enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to him doing more with his character, like the animated movies on him.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. You know, around that time, because I think we were really, I wasn't saying looking for Black presence, but you know what I'm saying? Like it was a uptrend of Black presence being in like Hollywood and representation. So everybody was really, really excited about that, you know, including me. And, you know, some people were mad about it, of course, but it was a big win, especially for it to be pretty much the best Spider-Man. You know, I think it was the best grossing one too, wasn't it? I could be wrong.
I'm not sure if it was the best grossing one, but I know it won awards, like, and that was rare because a lot of times the superhero movies don't win in awards. So that was really, really cool. I like the fact that he was biracial, and like I know we had a conversation about inclusion and the fact that like they didn't just change Spider-Man into a Black person. They made a new person, but he had his own powers, he had his own motivations, you know what I mean? He had his own style. Like I like the fact that, you know, the shoes that he wears, you know what I mean? That, you know, all the different things that make him still, but, you know, makes it so that he doesn't have to worry about doing this or doing that. And like he does have a little bit of like, you know, pressure to be good or to be, you know, like the original Spider-Man, but he does it in his own way. And I think a lot of us can learn from that as well. So it was really, really cool to see that, to see how he kind of comes into his own, and you know, the different things that they have from there. And the one thing I also like when it comes to Spider-Man, they have a lot of different variants of him. Like they got the Scarlet Spider, they got, you know, and he always comes out with new suits too. So there's a lot of different Spider-Men and women that show up and that have really kind of come into their own, because I think that character and what it represents is just being able to be relatable, you know what I mean? Because you do see him, like Natalie said, grow from being a teenager to like after he, you know, you see him go to a teenager to being in college, to going to get different degrees and trying to pay off student loans, then trying to find jobs, then trying to make sure that he's not homeless, all the rest of that stuff. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of Spider-Man in every one of us. I'm not gonna keep that part. That was really cheesy. I'm definitely taking that out. Nat, don't look at me like that. I was trying to come to an end and I thought that was, but then that was a little bit too like PBS, so I decided to get rid of it.
Yeah, a little bit creepy, being in people.
Wow, she didn't spare you at all.
She didn't at all.
A little bit creepy.
she just, I had gasoline draws on. She was like, "Here's the match. Let's go ahead and start this shit up." So, but but when it comes to Spider-Man, I think that being relatable is definitely key for him. And we just wanted to take the time, on Spider-Man Day to be able to kind of discuss him and talk about some of the other things that we really liked about him. Now, I'm going to end on one last question. What is your least favorite Spider-Man movie?
Oh, I'm gonna let Natalie go first.
The least favorite. Can I count it if I didn't watch it at all? Or do I need to have seen it for it to count?
Well, I'll let you expand upon it. And then after that, we'll say whether or not, because you got to have good reasons not to like it.
Okay, so then I have to go with one that I actually watched. And sorry, Nick, I gotta go with Spider-Man 3. Only because they put so much into it. Like, I think I like the villains, but between the villains and they threw Venom in there, I think it made it like 4 villains in that movie. And I don't think they gave enough time for each one of them. Sandman could have just been a movie by itself. Like, his story was compelling enough, and I think it just went too fast. So not in a bad way. I just think they put way too much into it. It wasn't, developed properly. They didn't flesh everything out, and then it just kind of ends.
All right. What about you, Nick?
No, man. I don't know. I pretty much enjoyed the Spider-Man movies. I hate to kind of end on that note and be that guy, but like I guess I would be struggling to say, you know what I'm saying, I didn't enjoy him. Like I don't have a problem with him. I could, am I missing some maybe? Some animated ones that probably suck, for the most part. Yeah.
I don't think there was too many. Yeah, I don't think there are too many.
It's a couple. It's a couple I heard really bad that I was told to steer clear from. Like, it's a couple. Now,
here I'm gonna go with Spider-Man 3 too, but there were a couple reasons though, because I just thought about it because Natalie was talking about it. The fact that the butler wasn't ish to Harry, because like Harry got his whole half of his face blown off like Two-Face. And then after that at that point, then you want to tell me that, hey, the wounds that, like, I'm trying to avenge my father, the wounds that my father got were self-inflicted. So you couldn't tell me this before half my face was gone, and I'm over here trying to fight my best friend. Like, you decided not to tell me that stuff. That and the Saturday Night Fever thing, I still can't get past that. Spider-Man had no rhythm. He had too many buttons undone. And I didn't like it. And then he started sliding. I remember at one point he slid across the floor and dancing. And I was just like,
did he do a little flip?
Yeah, and landed on like a chair or something. And then like when it came to Venom, and that may be, it may have been just the comic book set that wrong expectation, because I was expecting like a buff ass Venom that comes out, and he looked just like Spider-Man, and then the teeth were all really weird, like it wasn't really a good. So that's the part where I had to dock Spider-Man 3, but. That, and I think everybody had those high expectations especially when you came from 2, and 2 was that movie, and then 3, and then it was like, it's not the same. But yeah, that was the last question I have for you guys. I really appreciate you taking your time and talking with us from here. Now, to the viewers at home, like, tell us in below what your favorite Spider-Man was, or who your favorite actor was. Maybe we got it wrong. Maybe there was a completely other Spider-Man movie that was either better than what we were talking about or worse. Put it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. But until that time, we want to go ahead and say thank you. Make sure you follow us. Make sure that you like this. And until the next time, y'all be easy. All right.